Imagine being a child, the center of your world, loved and cherished, until one day, everything changes. A new sibling arrives, and suddenly, you're pushed aside, no longer the focus of attention. For many firstborns, this shift stings, but for Ishmael, the son of Abraham, it was a wound that shaped his entire life. His story, tucked away in the pages of the Bible, is one of heartbreak, rejection, and yet a quiet strength that carried him through. Let's dive into Ishmael's journey, a tale of being cast out but never truly forgotten, a child caught in a storm. Ishmael's story begins with a mother's longing. Sarah, Abraham's wife, desperately wanted a child but couldn't conceive. In her impatience, she made a choice that would ripple through generations. She urged Abraham to have a child with her handmaiden, Hagar. That child was Ishmael. Born into a complicated family, Ishmael wasn't just a son. He was a symbol of Sarah's attempt to take fate into her own hands. But when he arrived, instead of joy, he faced rejection. From the start, Ishmael was an underdog. Sarah, who had orchestrated his birth, turned cold. The Bible barely mentions their relationship, but what little it says speaks volumes. When Sarah finally gave birth to Isaac, her true son, Ishmael became invisible to her. She didn't even call him by name, just that slave woman's son. Those words cut deep, stripping Ishmael of his identity as Abraham's firstborn. It's as if Sarah regretted her decision so much that she erased Ishmael from her heart. Cast into the wilderness, the turning point came when Isaac, the second-born, arrived. The family dynamic shifted irreversibly. Sarah watched Ishmael, now a teenager, tease his younger brother during a celebration for Isaac. To her, it wasn't just sibling rivalry, it was a threat. Her response was brutal. She demanded Abraham banish Ishmael and Hagar, saying, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." Those words weren't just a command. They were a rejection of Ishmael's very existence. Imagine the pain of a boy hearing he's no longer wanted. Ishmael, who had done nothing wrong except be born, was cast out into the desert with his mother. The wilderness of Beersheba became their new reality, a place where survival seemed impossible. They ran out of water, and Hagar, in despair, placed her son under a bush, unable to watch him die. Ishmael's cries echoed through the desert, a plea for life in a world that had turned its back on him. A promise in the desert. But even in that moment of desperation, Ishmael wasn't alone. The Bible tells us God heard his cries. An angel appeared to Hagar, comforting her with a promise. "Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation." These words weren't just hope, they were a lifeline. God saw Ishmael, not as a mistake, but as a son with a purpose. The angel's prophecy was profound. Ishmael, named before his birth, a rare honor in the Bible, meant God hears. Even in his lowest moment, God listened. The angel foretold a challenging life. He will be a wild donkey of a man, his hand against everyone and everyone's hand against him. It was a warning of hardship, of a life at odds with others, perhaps even his brother Isaac. Yet it was also a promise of survival and greatness. God didn't abandon Ishmael. He carved out a destiny for him. Rising from the ashes, Ishmael's story doesn't end in the desert. God's promise held true. He grew up in the wilderness of Paran, becoming an archer, a survivor in a harsh world. His mother, Hagar, found him a wife from Egypt, possibly someone of high status, given her own rumored connection to Egyptian royalty. Ishmael's life wasn't easy, but it was blessed. The Bible tells us he became the father of 12 sons, each a tribal chief, ruling regions from Havilah to Shur. Among them was Kedar, whose descendants, the Kedarites, controlled vast lands and are believed to be ancestors of the Prophet Muhammad. In Islamic tradition, Ishmael's story takes on even deeper meaning. He's seen as a prophet, a patriarch who helped his father Abraham build the Kaaba in Mecca, a sacred site for monotheistic worship. The Zamzam well, a holy place in Islam, is said to have sprung up when baby Ishmael, crying with thirst, scratched the ground, and God provided water. Hagar's desperate search for water between the hills of Safa and Marwa is commemorated today by millions of Muslims during their pilgrimage. A father's love, a son's resilience. The Bible paints Abraham as distant from Ishmael after the banishment, focusing on Isaac. But Islamic stories offer a warmer picture. Abraham visited Ishmael multiple times, once leaving a cryptic message to change your threshold, meaning Ishmael should divorce his first wife. Later, he approved of Ishmael's new wife, calling her faithful. These visits show a father who cared, even if circumstances tore them apart. Ishmael's life wasn't defined by Sarah's rejection or the desert as harshness. He rose above it, becoming a father of nations, a symbol of resilience. The Bible notes that he and Isaac came together to bury Abraham, a moment of peace between brothers whose peoples would later clash. It's a quiet reminder that, despite everything, they shared a bond. Why Ishmael's story matters. Ishmael's journey is more than a biblical footnote. It's a story of surviving rejection, of finding purpose in pain. He was born into a world that didn't want him, yet he thrived. His name, God Hears, is a testament to divine mercy, a reminder that no one is truly forgotten. Whether you see him as the ancestor of the Arabian people, a prophet in Islam, or simply a boy who faced unimaginable hardship, Ishmael's story resonates. It speaks to anyone who's ever felt invisible, pushed aside, or unworthy. His legacy lives on in the tribes he fathered, in the Zamzam well, in the Kaaba, and in the hearts of those who hear his story. Ishmael teaches us that even when the world turns its back, there's hope. God heard him, and through his descendants, his voice echoes across history. What do you think of Ishmael's story? Does it move you? Share your thoughts below, and if this touched your heart, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories that inspire. Until next time, keep seeking the light in every tale.